She was arrested that same day by the state of Mexico's Attorney General's office as part of Operation Swarm, a major operational strategy aimed at combating various criminal activities, especially those related to drug trafficking that had infiltrated municipal administrations.
SHEINBAUM has just destroyed this Mexican narco mayor after she was sentenced to 70 years in prison for murder. Maria Martinez ordered the brutal cartel execution of another municipal officer after he tried to expose her links to members of the notorious La Familia Michoacana. What followed was a brutal execution plan that ultimately led to this equally harsh sentence. But now, people are wondering if SHEINBAUM did this to save her face from the backlash she received from the murder of Mayor Carlos Manzo, or if her government is finally going after these criminals and the political sponsor. Maria Elena Martinez Robles ran for office in 2021 under Movimiento Ciudadano, but right before taking power, she switched to Morena. Yes, the notorious ruling Moreno party.
Can you explain this alliance between the president, her party, the Morena party, and the cartels?
Yes, the party has financed, has given, the cartels have given so much money to these politicians, narco politicians of Morena, to get into office, to get the power. So they protect, the Mexican government protects the cartels.
Anyways, that decision to switch to Morena immediately split the town's government and sparked a power struggle inside City Hall. That was when Miguel Angel Lara de la Cruz, the municipal trustee, came into the picture. Miguel and Martinez had been elected together in 2021, originally under the same political banner. So, when Martinez dumped the party that brought them into power, Miguel began pushing back against her decisions and financial deals, many of which were already tied to cartel activity.
Investigators say Martinez Robles had an ongoing relationship with La Familia Michoacana, one of the most violent criminal groups operating in the state of Mexico.
She paid cartel members hundreds of thousands of pesos in protection money using taxpayers' funds.
On the one hand, it is known that for each city council agreement, this woman had to deliver 100,000 pesos to the criminal faction, and on the other hand, she had to deliver 300,000 pesos to this cartel every month as part of a protection racket or for the operation of this criminal faction.
That relationship with the criminals made her feel untouchable. So when the political conflict with Martinez escalated, she didn't bother herself trying to sort things out. She planned to eliminate him, and she set that plan in motion in January 2023 when she ordered Martinez and his driver to travel on an official assignment to a remote, dangerous area in the southern state of Mexico, notorious for cartel violence. They never returned on that journey. The next day, their bodies were found shot execution style inside a red vehicle on a regional highway. But even with the brazen murder of the government officials, the case was never investigated until November 2024, when authorities eventually launched Operación Enjambre. This was a coordinated crackdown targeting mayors, police chiefs, and municipal officials suspected of working with organized crime. That's when Martinez Robles was finally arrested.
She was arrested that same day by the state of Mexico's Attorney General's office as part of Operation Swarm, a major operational strategy aimed at combating various criminal activities, especially those related to drug trafficking that had infiltrated municipal administrations.
And what followed were months of hearings, witness testimony, and evidence pointing to phone calls, cartel coordination, and the deliberate setup that led to the murders. Finally, in December 2025, a judge delivered the verdict.
The state of Mexico's judicial branch sentenced the former mayor of Amanalco, Maria Elena Martinez Robles, to 70 years in prison.
For many people, this conviction isn't just about one mayor, but a sign that the SHEINBAUM administration is finally going after corrupt local politicians, especially the ones linked to the ruling Morena party. But the truth is that her help is coming a little too late because these cartels have destroyed too many lives and properties with the help they're getting from these corrupt politicians. In rural parts of Michoacán, Entire farming communities have been forced to flee their homes after members of La Familia Michoacana criminal groups began using drones loaded with explosives. Villagers have recorded countless incidents of armed drones dropping explosives on their homes, farmlands, and even public places. Now, the worst part is that some of these drones are deployed without targeting any specific location or person. They just land where they fell, and they can fall at any time, since they have night vision technology.
These images were obtained from official sources with access to footage from several drone attacks. This video here shows an attack from another drone. The drones are fitted with explosive devices and drop them from the sky to attack unsuspecting residents in surrounding communities.
Now, the crazy part is that the cartels don't try to hide any of this. They recorded these attacks themselves and then released the videos online. While the armed drones move toward the target, there's another drone flying behind them, recording everything. And once the attack is over, that camera drone simply turns around and heads back to the cartel's base.
These are videos that have not been seen before. They even show how the members of the criminal organization, La Familia Michoacana, live in Sierra de Guerrero. Here, a handful of hitmen in tactical clothing and assault rifles greet the drone while barricades on the ground, and more armed men could be seen.
It almost feels like they're mocking the government because they know no one is coming after them. After all, corrupt government officials are the ones sponsoring and protecting them. Another problem is that these drones are commercially available and relatively cheap, which makes them easy to buy and even easier to turn into weapons. The impact on daily life has been so devastating. Doctors have stopped traveling to these communities because it's no longer safe to reach them. As a result, several schools have been closed since parents are too afraid to send their children outside. Even most health centers have been shut down, and entire villages have begun to empty as families flee for safety. In the Tierra Caliente region of Michoacán, towns like Aguililla and Tepalcatepec experienced similar attacks.
This is another recording of the moment when the explosive charge was dropped. Fortunately, the wind deflated it, and it did not cause any fatalities.
Farmers lost entire harvests after fleeing their land to avoid being killed. Small business owners shut down permanently. Elderly residents who had lived in these towns for decades were forced to leave everything behind. Even when military forces temporarily push out the criminal groups, residents say the fear never goes away because the drones could return at any moment. The same pattern later appeared in Guerrero. Residents of communities like Acatlán del Río reported repeated drone attacks over several consecutive months. In one of the attacks, explosives landed on a goat pen and a school.
Once again, the residents of the Acatlán del Río community were victims of attacks with explosives launched from drones by La Familia Michoacana, which this time fell on a goat pen and at an elementary school.
Despite repeated requests for help from local, state, and federal authorities, residents said they received no protection. Then, in Michoacán again, an explosive drone detonated near a public gathering in the farming community of La Ruana. Although no one was killed in that attack, it triggered something that would flip the narrative of this war. While these criminals were bombing the hell out of these communities, they were also extorting them. Nothing could be bought or sold freely anymore. Cement, rebar, wood, meat, chicken, even basic supplies all had an owner, and that owner was La Familia Michoacana. They were like a shadow government ruling the entire region. The cartel appointed a single approved supplier for each product and forced businesses to buy only from them. On top of that, mandatory fees were imposed just to be allowed to operate. If a builder refused to pay, the threats started immediately. In some cases, workers were kidnapped and beaten as a warning.
La Familia Michoacana terrorized communities, seized control of all trade, and enforced extortion through threats, kidnappings, and violence.
Business owners were told their stores would be burned down. Others were threatened with abduction or murder if they tried to resist. This was an organized system of economic terror that touched every part of daily life. The cartel leadership behind this system was linked to brothers Johnny and Jose Alfredo Hurtado Olascuaga, figures long identified by authorities as key leaders in the region.
Business owners faced many threats of arson, abduction, and murder under a cartel-run system of economic terror.
Under their control, extortion payments kept rising. And soon, what started as fees became impossible demands that pushed families and businesses to the brink. And eventually, people reached their breaking point.
Extortion tied to the Hurtado Olascuaga brothers kept escalating until families and businesses reached their point of no return.
So on this particular day, the townspeople waited for the cartel collectors to arrive after they summoned them to a community soccer field to demand weekly protection money for cultivating their own land. But as the cartel gunmen entered the field, they were slowly surrounded by hundreds of residents who had decided they were done living in fear.
When cartel collectors summoned residents to a soccer field to demand protection payments, the townspeople came, but to fight back.
What followed was a violent and chaotic standoff as the townspeople attacked, overwhelming the gunmen through sheer numbers and desperation. Most of them were armed with only sickles, machetes, and some hunting rifles, but they chased down the gang members amid bursts of automatic gunfire. By the time it was over, 10 cartel members were dead. Some of their bodies were burned alongside their vehicles. Meanwhile, 4 townspeople also lost their lives during the confrontation.
The confrontation left 4 residents dead and 10 cartel members killed, some burned with their vehicles.
It was brutal and tragic, but it was also a clear sign of what happens when these criminals are allowed to operate with total impunity, all while getting help from elected corrupt government officials like Maria Elena Martinez Robles. But what do you think? Please feel free to share your thoughts with us in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth videos like this. Meanwhile, click on any of the cards on your screen right now to watch more of our videos.